Three.
Whoop. Hello and welcome to Glitch Point. Sorry, I moved the mic and then it touched the space bar, and I was like, "Whoa!" It's kind of
Oh,
a little jump
nice.
there.
We're on time.
There we go. We're real people.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, Monday. It's nice. It's nice to start the week off, especially after this weekend. Although I didn't get to participate, but I am. Whoop, that's real life too. All right, dismiss. Um, yeah, after not being able to participate, I am curious to know, although I did read a couple of things about how the Halo Infinite beta went, or
Yeah. I
Flight
mean,
1, I guess.
343 honestly have outdone themselves, in my opinion. I think that they've exceeded my expectations and honestly a lot of people's based on the feedback I'm seeing. A lot of, I mean, the only complaints I saw were from people who either A, were not in the beta, or B, had problems, or it's not even the beta, the technical preview, as they call it. Which
Yeah,
that's exactly what this
the
was
flight,
for.
right?
Yeah, super early on. But there's a lot. I mean, I played. I really like how they did it. I mean, it was cool that they made it this kind of event rather than like, here it is, go play it, see you later. They started with bot mode and the weapon drills. So the bot mode, they started off with the Marine difficulty, which was fun, I guess. Like they were smarter than I thought they would be, but they weren't pulling anything crazy. And then the next day was ODST difficulty, which I am actually very impressed with their AI tech. Like I don't know
Yeah.
what they did to these bots. I don't know what technology they used, but it is they aren't gonna win the game, obviously, but it is insane some of the moves that they pull off. Like I was getting crouch shotted all the time, and I've seen tons of people get 360 hit in the back, and it's like they're pulling moves off that a lot of players don't. Like a lot of basic beginner players are not pulling these moves off. They just can't finish off kills and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw that when the difficulty started to get raised, people were saying they were they were getting owned a little bit.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean the jump between Marine and ODST was drastic. Like people were like, "Whoa, this is unexpected." The Spartan one was it was more of the same, but it was still hard, but it again, you were still beating them by a drastic amount.
Yeah, I mean, it really does benefit if there are smart AI. I mean, it's something that we haven't been able to have in the Halo world yet, and not just for campaign, but just practicing. I mean, if you're able to hone your skills based off of AI, I mean, other games have done this quite a bit, not very well, but
No, like I think they're honestly that's what kind of blew me away was they're setting a standard for this type of firing range thing. Because I mean, yeah, we've had other games to have like there was the pit from Modern Warfare, and then Titan or Apex right now has like a firing range you can go to, and it's just static targets, and like they
yeah,
work,
yeah.
and you can I guess warm your shot up, but they were when they talked about the bot mode, they're like, no, 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 you can like this is meant to warm up your game, and I was like, well, okay, sure, it's not gonna do that, but no, like playing through these for hours. It's insane how many people, myself included, were willing to play bots for hours. It was fun. It didn't feel like I was facing bots. It just felt like I was owning these shitty players, but they felt like players.
Yeah, but
Um,
the other thing is, and I don't know if there's any AI training going on in this scenario, but possibly if they do utilize that, because that's something that we've never seen in bots before. I mean, because there's been good bots, but bot tech hasn't really changed that much since like Unreal Tournament,
yeah,
and they really set the standard for what a really good bot was, and actually, being able to. I mean, they're not good, but you can have fun playing against them.
yeah,
And but if it is trained bots, which is something I've been waiting for, I think that there is a unique possibility to make bots that can challenge each type of player, or because you could have bots that are specifically trained for your play type, or learn your play, or
yeah. I think that's where people started to. I saw a couple people talk about like it would be cool if I could 1v1 myself, and I mean that tech exists. I know that Smash Brothers does it where it can like
yeah.
learn and whatever. But the other team, which I highly, highly think that they got help from to get this AI to do, definitely machine learning. The way that there's like no
You
other
think
way you can
so?
get AI
Yeah.
this good. Yeah. The
Yeah.
Forza team, because the Forza team has had great machine learning with their Drivatar system for years, where it can learn how you drive and then upload a version of yourself to the online for other people to play against. And like if you take tight turns, it'll take tight turns and it will try to play as if you were playing there.
There's a lot
Um,
less though going on with a driving game. I can
oh,
understand why it would
absolutely.
be because now you're just adhering to a line. So I mean it and
Yep,
all
hands down.
just to, but all AI training is it's just to adhere to a certain model. And that's a perfect way to have a model where I think like how people play Halo is going to be a little bit more difficult, but it's not impossible. Um, I
No,
just think
and
it probably
I
might
wouldn't
take
be
more data.
surprised if yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they have that one day, but I am very very impressed with some of the way the AIs play. The way I mean I got flanked a couple times. Like obviously the AI was like, "Oh, I must go behind," and like flanked me, and
Yeah,
it was really impressive. I will would continue to play that for hours. I'm
that's
glad
awesome.
that they had one. I think it was 1 hour, maybe 2 hours of multiplayer full on. My God, people are good at this game already.
Yeah,
I mean, like the
well,
bots definitely warmed everybody up. I thought I was playing for a while, but man, did I get my wreck. I got absolutely wrecked.
I mean, we are in a classification of people who moved on from playing intent. Like, I think I've said this on the show. Like, our dream of becoming a competitive video game player has long died.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So,
I think even in the MLG scene, like your mid 20s, there are people like, "Are you sure you want to? You're getting a little old there, bud."
yeah,
And
well, I
it's
mean,
like, fuck.
it takes, it takes a lot of effort. You have to. I mean, when I was at the top of my game in Halo, I was playing quite a bit of
Yep.
Halo.
Yeah.
And it's just there's so many other things in life that have more importance, and once you know you're not going that route, it's like okay, well, and you end up falling off the height of your abilities, I guess. But
Yeah, and I mean, this was a very small pool of players that are dedicated to Halo, and like that. Yeah, I expected it to be a very sweaty multiplayer experience, but even then, it was a blast.
yeah, no, that's awesome. And you know what? To be honest about the AI training bots, we can't say it's not that, or even that won't come because of this game as a service. It only would benefit them to continually improve this part of the because there is a lot of benefit there. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of interest. I think that people would take a lot of interest in it.
Well, and
Uh,
I think another like important side of this bot training thing, and I know there's more to the bot training in the what they call the academy, which they didn't have much of this time, but they have other parts that are tutorials. Because they talked a lot about with it becoming free to play, and especially with Halo returning back to a form for Halo in terms of like actually just being a Halo game rather than kind of building on whatever's trending. You, it's been a while since Halo's played that way, and it was very apparent playing Halo Infinite. I was like, this feels like I'm playing. The best way to describe it is Halo 5 mixed with Halo 2 in a Halo 3 world. It's
yeah,
like it is absolutely perfect mix of all those, and we'll get into the details. But there's a lot of things about Halo that a lot of games don't do that you need to teach people, like how grenades affect. Like grenades in Halo act way differently than they do in Call of Duty, and
yeah.
jumping, and like there's just Halo's a very different game, and it's very apparent. So this bot mode really helps people start to develop how to play a Halo game rather than just any other FPS.
Cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of things that have changed. I guess it's from my understanding, is it's the slide into cover is still very utilized and feels really good, is what you're saying. And then,
Yeah,
so it's that because that's what you're saying with 5 is the advanced movement. And then 2 is really just the cornerstone to where a lot of these mechanics got developed, like the grenade, sticky grenade, and the sword, and that's where we past the first game. I mean, that's where it really got defined, and
yeah,
that's where we've
definitely.
continued on. So it's nice, but I do like the advanced movement. I do, and so like if the slide takes that position, that's kind of what I'm hoping.
Well, yeah. So advanced movement is very interesting, and it's definitely. I wonder. I so far the Halo community is handling it well. I wonder how people who don't play Halo are gonna feel about it. But so they brought back the only thing from Halo 5 that they brought back was the sliding and the clambering. I mean, yes, sprint, but sprint was also in Halo 4.
You
So you can
clambering is grabbing an
ledge
edge.
grab, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Which in Halo, there's all sorts of things of what those did in Halo 5, but in this one, sprinting doesn't. I think it increases your sprint speed by like 0.1%. Like it doesn't do anything really
Okay.
in terms of speed. It feels faster because you got speed lines, and if you turn your FOV up, like it definitely like people. If you play the game, you're like, yes, I am faster, but people did the math, and it's like obviously not. And I played a lot with trying to do jumps, like sprint jumps, because that's a lot of Halo 5, and there
Yeah.
was no jump I could do that I required sprint to do.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like you
Were there
and then
crouch jumps that
yeah,
were necessary? Okay, good.
definitely, and I'll get to that. But like the other thing with sprint is like you draw your weapon instantaneously, so there's not like a pull out animation. You can reload while sprinting. So like
Oh, that's
sprinting is
nice.
not how sprinting is in other games. It's very
Yeah.
specific to this one where the only reason you should ever sprint is to build momentum, which is cool because that's been something that's kind of casually been in, well, not casually, but like kind of in Halo, but not really. In Halo 3, like if you jumped, that's how you built momentum. And the only way you could really use that is if you landed on a ledge, like a 45, and then you could jump off of it using that momentum, and then you could get a bigger jump.
Yeah.
So in this one,
Slide
they
jumping is that
yeah,
slide jumping or something?
yeah. So they
It's
pretty much
crazy
brought that
stuff.
back, and the way to do it is you have to sprint and then jump or sprint off a ledge, so you build that momentum. And then once you hit the ground, if you crouched while in midair, you can do a slide right away and get more momentum in that slide, and then pull another jump off and get a super jump.
Oh, cool.
So there's definitely the fun stuff that MLG people love to do with like sprint jumping and all that stuff, but it feels just like Halo 3's movement. It's really awesome.
Well, that was also in 2 as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I
Two
don't know
had
if
it
you
as, I
watched.
mean, that's been in Halo. I think even one
Well,
had it.
I don't think it was meant to be in 2, but man, you watch some of those videos of people like using 45-degree angles to just like skate across the,
Yeah, I mean, I
the
think
map,
that's
and
what
it's like,
really
what?
that makes Halo just like the physics engine in the game has just been built in a way that allows all of these things to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that 343 really acknowledges that. And I mean, this sprint tech seems very like that scenario I described is very specific of that's how you do it. But there's a lot of cases where you can do some crazy jumps. And then the nice thing is with crouch jumping, um, it's way more valuable than it was in Halo 5, and it's a lot more like in Halo 2 and 3, which is like with the clamber, you have to be like looking straight at the thing rather than like a little like the FOV on clamber in Halo 5 was wide as hell, so it's super easy to pull off.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's not. So like, and you're much more rewarded for doing a crouch jump if you can pull it off because you don't have any animation. So
Well, in 2, that was one of my more favorite things that I felt like got diminished as the series has gone on, was just the places you could get to with really good jump tech. Like
yes,
it just, and I mean, there was a lot, and I think it was well designed that way. I mean, and then you had the super jumps, but of course that's never going to come back.
yeah.
But yeah, just like this, and I think it was just people being able to utilize the physics engine to get to these, amazing places, and it brings a whole different, like almost parkour element to it.
Yeah, and I think I'm excited about is maybe I'm wrong, and I'm sure that people at Bungie at the time of making Halo 2 knew about all these different types of systems and were designing maps around it, but it definitely felt more like something players discovered and then was like, oh, this is amazing, and then they kind of brought that forward and Halos go on. This feels like the first Halo where you take those Halo 2 movement style mechanics and Halo 3 and you design maps around it, and it feels super good. Like you can even see it, you're like, I can kind of see if I can do this, this, and this, I can pull this giant jump off, or like I can just skate around this and get to the overshield faster.
Yeah, but there were definitely I don't know if they could have planned for everything. There was too many things that you could utilize, like rocket jumps, grenade jumps. I mean, we even talked about the skating, being able to use angles, and just people were just
insane.
like insane about the
Yeah.
parkour elements of Halo 2, and it was still there in the other ones. There just weren't as many useful places to go.
Yeah,
I felt like
and in this one, it's super Halo 2. There's so many
That's
places you
awesome.
can go. That being said, though, you mentioned rocket jumping and grenade jumping. No one knows for sure, but that's not in the game right now, and I don't know if it's a bug or what. But
What
like
happens when
grenades
you
don't apply a physics force
really?
enough to do that, and then rockets don't. I don't. Yeah, and then The gravity hammer doesn't give you a little bit of a bump when you use it either. So I don't know if that's just a design choice or what. I'm sure that's going to be in some Q&A because a lot of people were questioning that. Because I know for
Yeah.
campaign, I think those are more important. In multiplayer, like, yes, grenade jumps are good, but you're hurting yourself. Rarely are they better than doing some sort of crouch jump mechanic.
Well, I think that, it allows people to break the game, especially in the campaign.
True.
You'll get speedrunners that will be able to use this to go through the campaign and who cares? In the end, I don't know why you'd want to stop people from being able to do that because it's going to happen one way or the other. But yeah, I think I think being able to allow the user to explore the world the way they want to just benefits, just
Yeah,
benefits the game.
I want them to bring it back. I don't know why they would remove it, honestly, and I think most people are like, "Yes, please." I don't think it would be hard. I don't know how Halo is made, but I don't think it would be too terrible to just put that back in because
Sounds like it's
obviously,
tuning. Like you
yeah,
said
it
there.
sounds like tuning because I don't know. It just other things apply to Force,
Well,
and
you
like the
said there was
grapple hook
some
has, and
force, just not a very big force.
yeah. So I think that I don't know.
And
It
maybe
could
that's
just
the
be a
thing.
bug,
Maybe they feel like the grapple hook takes that position.
maybe.
Um, but it's just, one, you might not have the grapple hooks, the grenades you always have, which is why grenade jumps are, very important. Because even in a match, if you get good enough, I mean, if you're a pro player or something, you're going to be utilizing that to get places.
Oh, absolutely.
Not so much. I mean, rockets. Yes, if you have the rockets, I don't think rocket jump was used that much because there's two. But you always have
I've
grenades.
only used grenades and rocket jumping in campaign
Yeah,
or fucking around on a map. But other than that, I've never found like a really good spot to do it. So again, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, I'd like to see it come back.
that's interesting because they definitely played the physics of the grenades on the weapons.
Oh
So
yeah, no,
being
combat evolving feels so good in this game.
yeah, so it just I don't know why they would reduce it for the player, but I don't know.
I
They probably
see.
have reason.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a couple things that they've definitely done in this game that feel like ways to just accommodate people who are not Halo players because they're realizing that Halo's been in an awful spot for a long time. So there's going to be a lot of new people who are new to Halo. So like the sprinting definitely feels like something just for people who aren't huge into Halo, but there's other ways to it. And then they took out. I think this might just be a bot mode thing, but they took out team killing. So you can't
Ah.
shoot your teammates, which I feel like Halo 5, either some modes didn't allow it or at some point they took it out. I don't know.
To be honest, with the penalties for not playing the game right, if you get, it's just like they might as well. Because I'd rather
Yeah.
them take out anything that might happen. Because what happens is, it confuses the system gets confused, and then it thinks you assassinated your teammate or
Yeah.
something or whatever, and then it just now you have to wait 10 minutes to play again, and it's just not. I don't see that being a viable option. So they might as well just.
As
Yeah, I mean,
long as it's enabled in custom games, I think it's fine. Because they'll have a server browser, they'll have people who want it, and they can go play in a custom game. And I'm sure they will, because I think that's honestly already a setting in custom games. I'm fine to see it go in multiplayer modes.
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, it does, I guess, create some reality to it because I mean, if
Yeah, and I
if
mean,
you're
I've
like
had
if you're
some funny
sniping
moments,
and
but
yeah, but I mean, it's almost over. Like the day where you get a party car and then you run off the edge is kind of
well, see,
it's still
that's
funny.
definitely still going to kill people. Like, there's no way to get around. That's not even team dev. If you drive off a cliff, you're all going off the map. So, party
Yeah,
cars still exist.
or just like I mean, I remember when we first started playing. I mean, you can't help but kill your friend over and over
Yeah.
again, because it's really funny, but it's kind of a joke that's been played out. So I'm
Yeah.
okay with seeing it go.
We've been team killing people for 20 years. It's about
Yeah.
time. And now, I mean, now that they have the whole drop weapon, which is really, really cool, I didn't see anybody really. Actually, no, that's not true. Drop weapon was used 2 times. I used it once because I grabbed the grav hammer and I could see the look on this other guy's face that he was super pumped for it. So I dropped it because I'd already used it. And then the inverse happened to me with the Spanker rocket. I hadn't used it yet. And this guy looked at me and he's like, yeah, here you go. And he just dropped it for me. And I'm like, this is the most wholesome Halo community I've ever seen.
For now.
For now. Oh yeah, for now. For the next, like, it's over. The beta's over. Now
Yeah.
it's all over. But
I mean,
he's
these are the
very
people.
nice.
They probably tracked the people that were most involved, and have a long history on
Yeah.
Halo Waypoint and the website, have played all the games, kind of look like they're, because they obviously want to get a lot of feedback from the players, and if you want to pick your players right so you can get the most feedback.
Yep, definitely.
But
And it was a good. It was nice. I re-downloaded Twitter for the first time in a few months just because I wanted to keep up to date with the beta because they kept pushing updates out like every
oh, on
day.
Twitter,
Yeah,
did they have a
on
Discord?
Twitter.
Twitter.
They buy. I don't know. I don't like Discord that much, so maybe. But I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to be in a Halo community Discord. That sounds awful.
Well, if it's just for people that are in the flight, it might be
True.
cool. Because then
So,
you
but
could.
it was really nice to see the entire Halo community, even people that I know for a fact have been worried about the game or like are really adamant about no sprint and all of like a lot of opinions in this community. It was cool to see everybody just be like, yes, this is incredible.
Well, not in the beginning. Because people were getting really pissed because I guess the servers or the
Oh,
game
well,
didn't start on time,
I
or the
mean,
flight
yeah,
didn't
to
start on time.
anybody complaining about the technical test having technical issues,
Well,
what
that's
the
what they
fuck?
came out and said. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how they played it. Was like, just you got to know that this is a really early build. Blah blah blah. There's going to
Yeah,
be
and like they were like,
issues.
"Oh, it'll be ready Thursday," and then they didn't say when because they didn't know themselves, and people just kept complaining and complaining, and like I think they had to redeploy their entire servers twice that day.
Yeah,
And
that sounds
meanwhile,
about
everyone's
right.
working remotely, so it's just like I don't know. I thought that for me it went honestly very smoothly. I had a couple crashes, um,
Well, I can see
but
a lot of people taking off work and then being like, "Damn, I took off work," and then,
if you took off
hoping
work for a technical test, I don't know.
you want to
Oh,
bet? I
a
bet you a lot of
technical
people.
test that lasts all weekend long.
Yeah, I can tell you a lot of
I don't
people
know.
probably took off work and they're like, pissed because they're like, "Oh, you could have worked today, meh."
Their decision. It was their decision to do that.
Yeah, I was because I wasn't involved in
How
it. I
many
thought I was
games
just
have to
laughing.
launch with server problems until y'all just figure it out?
Well, at least
How
it's server
many?
problems early on. I mean, a lot of games
Exactly.
now
Like I don't think
launch with server problems, as you
I
just
know,
said.
so I don't think this game is going to launch with server problems because honestly, this technical test was like 8 billion times better than the Master Chief Collection's launch
Yeah.
because it actually worked at once time. Like one time it worked and that's better than the Master Chief Collection, but
Yeah, that was
oh,
multiple days, wasn't it, where it was down?
dude, that was like months.
Was it months? I don't even
That was
remember. I
like
just
it launched and everyone was like, "All right, time to play Halo," and no one could connect. It was super duper bad,
Yeah, I
and it
remember.
was like months went by until they literally were like, "Yeah, this isn't gonna be ready for months."
Wow. Because I definitely went on there and tried, and then I'm just like, this is screw it. And then I went back like way later.
I feel like
Um,
after a couple months they had like fixed it a little bit, and then maybe they also just made it to where it was only like one of the Halo games. I think it took the full year until like Chief Collection 2.0, and once that happened, it was like one game at a time releasing. I'm glad they got it where they are, but oh
yeah.
boy.
No, I think it's a good historical. I'm curious to know if 5 will join the Master Chief Collection when Infinite comes out.
I don't think so. I
I
think
think why not? It's kind of like their history, right? I feel
well,
like it belongs there.
I think for three main reasons actually, which are one, they've said that Halo 5 will not come to PC. I think
Oh,
it's
really?
just I mean,
I
when
didn't
they
know that.
talked about the game coming to Xbox One, they did a lot of technical things to get that game to run at 60 on an Xbox One. And it blows my mind that it does, but I think that it just would be too much work, especially with Infinite and the other things going on. Two, the game itself is like 100 gigabytes, and the Chief Collection already is 100 gigabytes. Like fuck, that's just
Yeah,
a
but you said
lot.
you can piecemeal it,
True,
so
you could.
you don't
So
have
maybe
to
that's not a
download
problem.
everything.
And then the
Yes, it
third
is a fat
thing,
baby, but
I can't remember what. The third thing is it's the black sheep of the franchise. So many people do not like Halo 5 that I just feel
I
like
really
they
like Halo 5.
can't justify the money and time it would take when they could just be doing other stuff. I think
Yeah,
it's fine.
you know what? I will make you eat your words because I guarantee you, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but eventually they're gonna put it into the Master Chief Collection because it just makes sense, right? I mean,
Well, the other
they're
thing
gonna
is
wait till this cools down and
the
then they're
Master
gonna.
Chief Collection has only Xbox 360 games in it. Like that was the point of the Master Chief Collection was to make sure that you didn't need a 360 ever again
Maybe. Yeah, but you
for
could say
Halo.
that. Yeah, I don't know.
Which Halo 5 is on the new ecosystem of Xbox. It'll never go away. It'll just be there all the time.
We'll see. We'll
Maybe.
see. Because I mean, it is nice to have all the old games in one place as nostalgia. It would be nice to have all the games in one place, but yeah, you're right. As it being because then it becomes more of a hub, a Halo hub for everything Halo. Um,
Yeah, and I mean that's what
but
they're doing with the Halo Waypoint app. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a Halo Waypoint Xbox app or something. Well, there was at one point, or you can just
yeah,
boot up Halo. But yeah, I don't know, maybe.
maybe. Yeah, so we can talk about the leak too. I mean, we could talk more about the game as well. I think we'll go back and forth because I definitely want to hear more. There's a
Yeah,
lot going on with the game itself.
I mean, yeah.
That
So
I think has
after
interest.
praising the Halo community for being so good compared to how we usually are, fuck them because someone data mined the beta, found out that they accidentally kept in campaign files, and leaked the entire ending of the game online.
I just don't understand how this happens anymore.
Data mining or the
No,
leaking
I
or
understand. I understand, but
what
Of
part?
course, it's going to be data mined.
Well, oh yeah.
Like that's
So
got to
three
be
for
a
three.
guarantee,
Yeah, three for
right?
three came out, and they were like, "No, that was a mistake on our part. Like we shouldn't have had those campaign files in there."
Yes, but I mean,
Um,
how much of an oversight is that? Because this is not the
I
first time
know.
this has happened. This happens
I,
all the
I mean,
time.
I didn't want to look into it because I didn't want to risk anything. I don't know what type of files they were. I'm assuming they were like probably dialogue or like something just super small and basic. And again, production's big. I understand that
All
does
they
suck.
said in the tweet was that it reveals directions in which the campaign goes. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know what that means, but
So I'm assuming based on the way people were talking about it, it was probably dialogue stuff.
and I would get it if this was a beta for the campaign, but it's just
Well, yeah, that I mean that starts at then I start
like
asking the
what is
question of
going on? What is going
what
on?
does it look like to buy Halo Infinite's campaign? Like, am I gonna boot up a game called Halo Infinite and then it's like, do you want to play multiplayer or campaign, and then it boots up a separate game, or is it like I just have the
That's what they
multiplayer
did
mode
traditionally.
and then like campaign is I can like select them? I don't know. Like, there's a big question of what is each game's package.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, but it seems. I mean, this. I just. I don't know. It does seem kind of crazy that they spent because they also said that they forked this version of the game 2 months ago. So a lot of stuff in this game that was like already broken is fixed in the game already, but they just haven't
Yeah.
updated it. So it's just like, damn, 2 months and those campaign files ended in there.
Well,
Boy.
it just seems like yeah, it should be a completely separate entity, especially since it's the online only part of the game, and it just I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
So
you should know better.
yeah, this is the part of the podcast where two guys tell a giant corporation how to make their game, but
Yeah, no, that's very true. My only thing is that it's obviously going to be data mined. I mean,
yeah, they even came out and they're like, by the way, if you post content that's data mined, we can copyright claim the shit out of you, and it's like, okay. But
why
yeah,
would they? They're not
I
going to
mean,
do that.
it
Why would they take the effort?
obviously was going to get data mined, and I think they also knew that the fact that they didn't just piece the whole entire thing together, and it was a very subset of the game, but
So you really
does
think
suck.
that this isn't on purpose? This isn't some sort of ploy for
No.
media?
No,
'Cause
because if they would have leaked some content, like if I was gonna leak content on purpose, it would have been a new vehicle, a new weapon, or maybe like a bot, like something that's like mid-campaign that people are like, wow, I can't believe that got spoiled, but not the fucking ending of the game.
What was that? What was the game that got the ending spoiled? What was the last one that was really big? Oh,
Last of Us.
was it? Yeah, it was Last of Us.
Last of Us
Yeah,
had the
yeah,
entire
that's right.
script leaked.
Yeah, that's right. It was The Last of Us.
Yikes. The last one.
Yeah. Well, you know what the thing is, and it's funny because they come out to say, these are spoilers, spoiler alerts, watch out, but people that want to know what happens in a game just want the information and they don't want to take the time to play it. There are always going to be a percentage of people that are like that.
Yeah.
We all have friends that, they just look at the endings of things and move on.
Absolutely.
And that's fine, because it helps them stay relevant for the conversations that happen, and then they don't have to spend the time to play or experience the, drudge of doing the thing.
Yeah,
But
I think the problem came of just like people making like YouTube videos about it, content, like actually like driving the information throughout the internet rather than just like, if you want it, the leak is over here and just leave it there.
well, it's
But
also, I mean, it's incentivized because that you get followers. I mean, you're
oh yeah,
basically
no,
riding on
definitely.
the coattails of of 343. You're saying, "Oh, I got
Yep.
something from 343," and then people follow you. You get more attention.
Yep.
You know, yeah.
Get
So,
money.
and I'm sure that's why people data mine too, because if they are a trusted source for this type of information, then that just equates to more views, more people paying attention to them.
Yep.
Which
No,
is fine. It's all fine. I don't see that this is a problem. I just cannot believe that.
No, yeah, it's like, okay,
Cannot
this
believe it.
happens all the time. There's no way around it. It's just like, damn, 343. You
What's
really,
Microsoft? I don't get it. They have
someone fucked up.
they could have sent so many people at this problem to make sure and double check. I mean, they have infinite amount of resources, human beings, and money.
I know. I don't. Yeah, it baffles me that got in there. And again, I'm like, I honestly am curious what was in there. Like, just what, even
Yeah,
just
we
like,
won't
just,
know until
so
after.
someone just tell me
Yeah,
like
I'm
the file
same.
type. Is this like a JSON file sitting around, or what? But I want to just know the files. I just don't want to know anything about it. And I feel like the title of the file will be like the ending of the game. It's like Cortana dies.jpg or something. And you're just like, fuck. I had no way. But
yeah, I kind of
if
looked
Cortana
over
dies,
it, but
I'm
I
fucked
didn't see
'cause
much.
spoiled it.
I just saw the tweet. I just read the tweet that they
Yeah, I saw
uh,
Joe Staten
put
tweet about
out.
it, and I was like, well.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was like, all right, I'm gonna get Twitter, and maybe maybe I'll keep it. And after a day, I'm like, man, y'all fucking suck. I'm not keeping this.
Yeah.
So I uninstalled it once the beta was over. So.
Well, that's cool. I mean, did you end up submitting information about the game and like what your thoughts were?
No, not yet. I mean, today it ended this morning, and I've been at work until now. So I'm definitely gonna write up stuff because I mean, I was lucky enough to get into the beta, and I feel like I should have been writing stuff down. But I do have a lot to say, and I mean, like they just did a really good job. I really want to play more.
So what's the format of your write up? Like, I'm just curious.
Oh, that's curious. I don't know.
You don't know. So it hasn't been presented to you yet?
No, it has. I just haven't clicked on any links. I know there's a Halo Insider forum, and maybe that's where they want all of their stuff.
Okay.
I need to like actually look into exactly what's like the best way to give them info, because I feel like a forum post isn't the best way, but maybe that's what they decided is. So.
Well, I mean, it's nice, and it'll be interesting to see how much, as you said, with the grenade jumps and everything, how much they actually listen to the community.
I have high hopes that they are, because this game literally feels like a giant answer to the Halo 4 and 5, the problems those things have had. Like, it's just like I'm playing, I'm like, yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. And it's like, it's more than I wanted. Like, they're doing a lot of things that I'm like, I didn't think that they would do that, but I kind of like it. One of those was, which I thought was going to be more controversial, but people seem to be okay with it, is they changed how radar works in Halo. Because in Halo forever, it's been if you walk, you are on the motion tracker, and if you crouch, you're not, and that's just it. Now, walking doesn't put you on there; only sprinting does.
Okay.
So like,
it's more relevant to sound.
Yeah, like you need to be a lot more sound, and like you need to be careful when you're sprinting, because then you're on the radar. Which, I mean, I like playing SWAT and other modes that don't have radar, and a lot of other people do, and I think that's MLG rules as well. So like for them, it's like, yeah, whatever. But even on a casual level, like when I am in social modes, I am a radar watcher. Like I just sit there, watch the radar until I see a red dot, and then I go. And I had to stop after like a couple matches. I'm like, yeah, this doesn't work anymore, because Destiny plays the same way too, which I've been playing a lot of that too. Well, it was weird, like, but I like it because I was sneaking up a lot more, and I was getting snuck up on, which I like that in a game. I have to be more aware. So I think best decision.
Did you have a headset on? I was going to ask you,
most of the
time? So was the sound fairly helpful to? Because just to make sure you can hear people behind you sneaking up and.
Yeah, actually, that brings us on one of my favorite parts, which is their comm system, which they had in Halo 5, but they've changed it because of the personal AI thing, which is you've got your announcer, which is the classic double kill guy, and then you've got.
Well, you can change it, can't you?
Not the announcer. So you can. Okay. The announcer's still the same guy who's awesome. Yeah. And then there's Spartan chatter, which everybody can change the voice of their Spartan. You can also change it off, which Halo 5 had this, which is like the actual players in the game will say call-outs, like in Blue Sneaky, or, this is over here, which I like a lot. It makes me feel more immersed in the multiplayer. I know some people don't like it. You can turn it off, though, so that's fine. And then the third one is what you can change, which is your personal AI, which is mainly about map information because and I think the way I guess to look at it is like announcers game info, and then AI is map info and more of just your personal cheerleader of like, oh, nice kill, or like, oh, that was a great shot.
It's good.
But it also just feels like an actual Halo AI. Like I was shooting my shotgun and I wasn't really paying attention to my ammo, and then he says like, "Oh, ammo reserves have been depleted," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then I moved and got a new weapon. And I would have noticed eventually, but it was just like small little things. I felt more like an actual Spartan, and it felt really cool.
Yeah, some of that stuff though does take away from the inherent skill level of at least 2 and 3, where especially if certain weapons are going to be respawned, there was an element of really understanding the clock and really understanding how the map, so you could control certain weapons, and that's kind of been taken away because now everyone's alerted at the same time. I suppose if you know what's going to happen though before people get alerted, then you still have an advantage. So
Yeah, and I mean that's been a part of Halo that I've liked a lot of like map knowledge is really key, and they've done some things that are I think this is one of those things where they needed to change it to bring more people in because it's intimidating to play some of the Halo, especially Halo 3. Like when I play with people who don't usually play Halo 3 a lot, they're always like, where's the shot? Like they just don't know where anything is, and like yes, you're supposed to learn the map or whatever, but they really I am fine with the communication, and they did a really good job with it, and they did some cool things that I like, which are like this. I mean, the power weapons always are just there's a waypoint on them anytime they're spawned, which whatever. And then my AI tells me where they are. There's like I think it starts to tell you it's going to spawn after 30 seconds, but on weapon racks and on any equipments, anything that spawns in the map is on a little bit of a pad, and that pad has a in-world progress bar that fills up, and you can sit there and watch it fill up, and then it spawns the gun.
yeah, I mean
Which
that's
is neat.
similar to 5, where it would have the timer above, and then it would be a transparent gun, kind of thing, like the blue, and then
Yeah.
it would materialize once the timer went down.
The other thing that I do kind of like that they're doing all this communication on is for updates because, and I had this problem with Halo 5 a lot, which is they would update a map and then the power weapons would change, and I literally I'd go back in and I'm like, well, I did know this map, and now I have to relearn the whole thing. And this does give them way more flexibility to allow for that. And then there's the other side of the Halo spawning weapon thing equation, which is there's static spawns and dynamic ones, which are the power weapons are on a static, so it's like every 2 whatever minutes you're gonna get a new
Yeah.
power weapon. But weapon racks, well, power weapon racks actually. Normal weapon racks are just also on that static timer, and then they just whatever. But a power weapon rack, which they had on almost all the maps, at least had one. They had 3 modes, which is the gun's ready, and then the gun has been taken and is in use on the map, which means it has ammo and someone's holding it. And if that was the case, the weapon outline would be red, and you couldn't, and the timer would not start until that weapon was out of ammo or out of commission. Then the timer would start, and then it would be a blue outline waiting for it to be picked up again. And I liked that a lot because in other
Okay.
Halos, there's other guns that do that, and you just never really knew. And again, it would change. So like, it's nice to know when a gun is just not going to be here anytime soon. And it's also nice because you're like, oh, I wonder if this gun's ready. Oh shit, someone has it. Okay, I should probably watch out.
Yeah, the only gripe I have about it is there's no reward for being knowledgeable. Because everything's handheld for you, so that and yes, it's really great for the new player because there's less things that they need to be concerned about. But then as you become better, it also reduces the hold on the map that a advanced player might be able to have. And I suppose if everyone's doing it, but with more things that you have to track, that means there's more possibility of slip up, which changes the advantages that are had on the map. So it's like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I mean, I agree. Like, I agree. And the only things that have map wide waypoints are the one power weapon and the one usually the power up like overshield. Everything else like equipment is on a pad, but it doesn't tell you where they are. So like there was one map, I think it was Bizarre. I had no idea where the grapple hook was for like 5 matches. I was just like, dude, where the fuck are you getting these things? And then I finally found it.
Yeah.
And it was in the fucking middle of the map like an idiot. But So there's still a little bit to learn, but I think that the map knowledge is just getting shifted to movement. Like knowing
Yeah,
how to
that's
move in a
true.
map, knowing there's a lot of sneaky places. Like there's a lot of places where you're like, "Oh, I wouldn't know that's a place, but there's like a little tube and you can go into." And like I think that's where advanced players are going to get more advantages by just knowing how to use a map to their it kind of reminds me of like Halo's about equal starts and just skill, like gun skill and movement skill. This
Yeah.
kind of brings that up a little more of like, okay, everyone is on the same page about the map or on the same page about the weapons and we're all at the same starting. So now whoever's better can win. I don't know. I
Well,
think it's
yeah,
for the
I
best.
understand. I mean, it's always the best advantage you can have is knowing where the front is of the current battle. So, like,
Mhm.
it's like when you start and you know when to throw your grenade and where because there's a high
Yes.
probability, and you can look at those traversal maps, and see exactly where the most firefights are happening and all the data, and you can kind of learn where people are most likely going to be. And that's true in any shooting game,
Yes.
out
No,
there
yeah,
is
knowing spawns and how spawns swap and all that stuff. Yeah.
well, you just know where there's likely going to be a person. It's the same like around corners. You kind of get a familiarity of where to center your gun so that it's closest to the 3 points that
Yeah.
possibly have heads popping out of them.
Yep.
Um, and that's good. I just think that there is more that's being taken. It's very similar to when the fact that none of us probably are very good at directions anymore because we just use our phones to get where we need to go.
Yeah.
And so we've lost, and nobody knows any numbers anymore because they're all stored in our phones. So what's the point of remembering numbers? I don't know. Yes, there's this whole movement, and I suppose this will continue in life. This movement towards ease of use, and it just takes away a lot of the data points that made it situations more interesting because now those are handled for you, and so you no longer have to worry about them.
Yeah. But on the other side of this, which I this is a good argument for things. It does feel a little devil's advocate, which I never really like being, but
Yeah, go ahead.
like custom games exist in Halo and they've done so many things that like there will definitely be modes, I guarantee you, that allow this to be turned off. And I know that MLGs, I mean, a lot of the things we're talking about are things that MLG people talk about a lot and are very adamant about. I think in Halo 5 at some point they removed automatic weapons from MLG completely because of the balancing issues, which is odd. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
But makes sense.
I didn't know that either.
So, I mean, it really isn't hard to make a map and just like turn those off. Put the like you can achieve a classic Halo experience in terms of weapon placements and communication in custom games, and I think that they will, and I think that they're. I really am excited to see how they distinguish between ranked and social because Halo's always had that big distinction. So I think for social modes, it's fine to give people that information, but maybe in ranked modes, don't.
Well, a great way, and this is just an idea, but that'll ever happen. But a great way would be to incorporate this through mechanics. So, like, if you had a grenade that disrupted the AI, something like that,
Okay, actually, that'd
where
be really fucking cool.
yeah,
They
so
should
it's
have that.
because people are going to become so dependent on these cues, and then it would actually fairly affect you if they were taken away. And just kind of make it interesting where it's not just making
Yeah,
everybody the same, because I feel like the more we add this automation of play, the more equalized everyone becomes, which I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. I mean, I think that if you're a terrible player and you're not taking the time to learn when the weapons are spawning, well, then you're a terrible player. You need terrible players.
yeah, but the nice thing is even knowing where something is, if you're a better player, you can get there faster. You can get there faster, more efficiently. I mean, you can combat evolve the shit out of it, or you can grapple the gun away. Like I mean, I'm with you. I do like that classic, but I
But
think
the
it'll be
the other
fine.
thing is it created more communication, because I remember when we used to play Halo 2 and 3, a lot of the communication was about the clock and when things were spawning and where things were spawning and where people were, and now there's less to talk about, and there's also less to talk about because now our Halo NPCs are saying things, and like I don't I
Yeah,
find this a lot in 5. Like, a lot of things I used to say, they're automating, and it's like, well, that's great, but I kind of liked that. I kind of like saying the things.
Yeah, and I think there's two sides of like, yeah, I'm with you. And well, one, good on them for making the Spartans say shit that real people say. Like they could be saying dumb shit, but I agree. Like sometimes I'm like, they take the words out of my mouth, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, I miss when Halo lobbies or any game lobbies were full of people talking, but we just don't see that anymore. So you could say like this is a way to accommodate for people who just don't talk anymore, but then you could also say it drives people, that gives even less incentive to do it. Um, and again, I
Was
think
there
this is where MLG playlists, which they've always had in Halo, will like really reign supreme. Of like maybe in those playlists, Spartan chatter's turned off. Maybe even you turn your AI off, which I really don't think they're gonna
Yeah,
do.
I don't think they're gonna do that.
But the AI really doesn't give you that much info. Like, yes, it says like the sniper has spawned, but so does the on-screen waypoint. I
Well, I
mean,
know, but
he's mainly
all
just your
that is.
cheerleader.
But I think the on-screen waypoint is part of the AI. You're seeing that through your visor.
True. Oh, okay, yeah. I guess if narrative-wise, you could argue that, yeah.
Because that blue thing or whatever you're seeing doesn't exist in the world. The gun's just there. I would
True.
imagine.
Well,
I mean,
yeah,
I don't
he's
know. I
in
mean,
your
it's all
head.
false. Yeah, it's in your head.
Although
Um,
in some of they didn't have anything other than Slayer, but in the trailers they show like the first person to get into the hill, their AI will be on the hill. It's like you're claiming the hill to yourself. It's cool.
oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure, and it looks really nice, and it's really it'll be fun. It just I don't know. I mean, if we're gonna return back to the old days a little bit with this game, it's just like
I would say I really hope their next beta is soon, and I really hope you get in. I want you to play
yeah.
because I feel like it sounds like there's so much info, but when you're in the game, it's just I don't know. It didn't feel like I was getting my hand held that much.
Could you what were the communications with? I mean, I guess you were just playing against bots, so it was all team based except for the last day, right? And then
Well, the way they set it up to test servers was your teammates were real people. Unless someone got kicked out or left, then it would replace with a bot until they could backfill. Which thank you 343 for finally implementing backfill on lobbies. I'm tired of people leaving a goddamn match in the first 5 seconds and then being fucked the whole time.
yeah.
Holy shit, thank you. So, anyways, that worked in the beta very well. But yeah, all my teammates were real people, but the bots were not real people.
But you got to play against other people on the last day, correct?
Yeah, for 1 hour. Yeah.
Oh,
I played
just
like
1 hour.
I played 3 matches and then I'm like I'm gonna go cook dinner. And by the time I was done, the multiplayer was gone. It was
So
very
were you
limited.
able with the playing with other people? Were you able to hear the when they were close to you? Could you hear their voices? Did they take that away, or
I don't think proximity chat was
yeah,
in, but
proximity
team
chat?
chat was in. I mean, I ended up muting people because there's so many people. Just
Yeah,
it's not even if someone was like doing actual comms, yeah, I'd leave it on or I would jump in. Every time someone was on the mic, it was just fans vacuum. This is the classic dumb shit. And you're
well,
just
the
like
funny thing
or they're
is,
having a conversation but with someone sitting next to them in real life. You sit there and I'm like this guy was having a whole conversation. I'm like okay, we're just bantering, that's fine. And I was waiting for another person to respond in the game like they were two buddies playing. No one ever did. He was just talking to someone in real life, and I'm like, dude, just mute your fucking mic. It's
well,
so
the
easy
other
to.
thing is for the fan stuff and at least background noise. I mean, there's now tech that deals with that. I know NVIDIA has where you can pretty much mute everything behind you. And it'll only
Yeah,
focus on your voice. Why not just do that automatically?
yeah. I know some mics do, but I think it's the issue of like if it goes wrong, then people complain. Like I don't know, but
Yeah, I
I'm
guess you're
glad that I
right.
can mute people. I guess that's all I'll say. Although it was funny because I was worried because I mean there were tons of things that were just broken. Like I think the Spartan chatter was a toggle, but it wouldn't work, and there were other settings that just didn't work. I think it said my FOV was at 0 for a while, which
Oh,
whatever that could possibly mean. Um, but I went to mute, and I didn't like the UI, the lobby UI. It was super complex. I hope it's not that way in the final game. But that was frustrating. I had to like pause the game to press another button to view the lobby rather than just press the back button. Um, Regardless, that'll be in my notes. 343. I hope you listen.
yeah.
The mute all
Should
button
they?
did not work. But the muting, if I had to click on a dude and then
Oh,
press
that's
mute, that worked though.
yeah.
But I was scared for a sec because this dude was so loud talking to his friend, and I'm like mute all, and it didn't work. I'm like, oh no. I'm like,
Yeah,
please
you
tell me
thought
that.
yeah.
I'm like, no. Of all the things you had to bug, you couldn't just fix this one. But thank God they had the regular mute button.
Well, wasn't I don't remember which one it was, but wasn't it? I think it had to do with the Xbox, and you could be a certain type of gamer.
Oh yeah, the 360 had the
Yeah, the
gamer
360
zones.
gamer zones. Yeah. So I mean, be interesting if they did something like that, or at least because if you're going to be a chatterbox, then you should be labeled a chatterbox.
Yeah, I
Somebody
mean
that's irrelevantly.
Bungie had that in Halo Reach. Like you could actually like toggle on search preferences. They would tell you like, oh, if you have no preferences, it'll find matches faster, obviously. But you could find people. I can't remember what they were, but it was like, yeah, I think people known for voice chat or whatever, and you could use that to try to find people. And Halo 5 Arena mode had something similar, but it was all around skill based. You could be
Oh,
like, it was like focused, meant it would really try to find people around your skill. Open was not, and then I can't. There was a third option. I don't know what the third option could be,
yeah.
but
It's I don't the skill based thing is great, but I really honestly think that that's the route in which they could mend team chat, because I mean, playing by yourself is not even an option. Because you have to play with your friends and you have to be in a party chat with only them. And I just, it wasn't always that way. I mean, and I think that through those techniques of kind of saying who you want to play with, I don't want to play, or just saying who you don't want to play with, people that are more chatty or people that are racist or lewd, like,
yeah,
and I just, with all this AI stuff, going on, I mean, I know it's not exactly, that doesn't fix everything and it's a buzzword, but I honestly think that we need to they need to start to attempt to fix these problems. So that, because I do want to play with random people, it's just such an unpleasant experience every time I try.
yeah. And I mean, I think the other thing that I want 343 to set more of a precedence on, which Halo Master Chief Collection does, and I've noticed this more frequently with that and with Apex too, which is I find people in game chat if I'm playing the competitive ones, but if I'm in social, no. And I think
Yeah.
that's just like, yeah, it's funny because it's called social and no one's fucking being social, but social is built of just like the casual just boot up and play and you don't have to worry about a lot. So like I get that no one really cares to talk there, or those are the people who are blasting fucking music all the damn time. But anytime I go into a competitive one and I'm on mic, a lot of the time it's people are silent until someone else speaks, which is funny. But then the second someone's like, "Hey, everyone here," everyone's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I'm here." Like they unmute themselves and like, "Oh cool," because no one wants to like talk to themselves. You
Yeah.
don't want to be the
Well,
idiot who's doing call outs for nobody. But even
but
then, I've been the one who's listening to someone do call outs for nobody, and I'm listening to them.
but the thing about social is not just because it's, by the name, it's for unranked play. It's
Yes,
when you, because I
that's a
mean
very
there
key
is an
point.
element to this where, yeah, as you said, warming up, or you're cold, or you're just starting to play like shit, but you want to keep playing, but you don't want it to be.
You're 5 beers in. It's 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
You can't be in
exactly.
comp anymore.
So you just go over to social, and so I mean there's still I don't think it really plays the element of being a social place. It's just untracked.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like
no, yeah, that's what
incognito
it is. I
mode
just
for.
it's ironic they called it social.
Yeah, there's just so many data points. Like literally, if you could take everybody that their mic is constantly going. Like there's sometimes where there's a sound in the back and like you can see it. So like why can't they collect that data? And if that person continually does that over and over again, they should be labeled something like noisy
Yeah,
or
that's true.
something. Just
Someone
clean
has
it
that
up.
mic who always has static. You don't know why,
And
and they're
maybe
just
they
like,
get
well, I
better.
don't hear it.
You can reevaluate it. It's not like, if they stop doing that, then,
Imagine
maybe
you have
it.
to put in a request on your profile, like, "Hey, you've been deemed noisy," and like 2 months later, like, "Hey, can you just reevaluate me? Am I still noisy?"
But I feel like you could evaluate it on every game. Like you could just per game thing, and it could be
Yeah,
a score that, like if you're noisy a game, you get the noisy points, and they go into the noisy group. So then you're just more trending towards that being a noisy person. When you're not noisy, it goes the other direction. And like we just have this ability to rate how people are, or I mean and you could just do it through very simple things. Like if there is you could have cooperative being something where if somebody talks and then somebody responds and then somebody responds, and it goes back and forth, that means they're having dialogue. And I don't know, maybe it's racist dialogue, I don't know, but you know
This dude's just labeled on Xbox like highly competitive, highly cooperative, super racist. It's like, well, I mean, at least he's gonna call me out. It's just not gonna be a very nice way to call out some maps, but he's at least talking.
People on video games are just absolutely ridiculous. If I have to see another stupid username about smoking weed, it's like, come on, people.
You don't like playing with Big Bong 69?
No, I don't. It's just like a huge sea of idiots.
But he's highly cooperative, can't you?
Highly
cooperative.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I could do it. Or just the stupid stuff people say.
Instead of highly cooperative, just cooperative highly.
Yeah. Well, you're right. You know, where you're actually getting to is if this ever became known, you could game the system.
Yeah.
Which is what you're basically saying.
It used to be known, and I mean, Bungie hit it. Like you would, I don't think you could know that you were a certain type of player for Halo Reach, but you would just get looped in, which I think is the best way. But I think the only way to do it is it's got to be all positive, because like we've also talked about how amazing it is when a developer takes people who hack the game and just says okay, and then puts them in the hacking lobby, and then they only ever get to play with hackers ever again.
Yeah, they don't know.
But as long as it's not because you don't want to be like playing a certain way and then you're deemed like not that, like, oh, this guy does not talk, and then you're just like stuck with people who don't talk. Like it should just be like a positive level. Like it shouldn't be like this guy doesn't talk. It should be this guy's talk level is just low, and you can gain it, and then it doesn't really go down. I don't know. It's a complicated system, but it should exist, and I think it has before. It's just kind of gone away.
I just feel like there's a lot of data points here. I mean, there are a lot of things that they could easily, gain information from that at least try. I mean, at the simplest, take out the people that's mics are constantly active. Just take them out, because there's something going on in the background and it's noisy, and
I would love if it was like you do this system and just like 10 people get tagged as playing music, because that's all they do is play music on the mic, and then you just hop into this lobby full of them, and the whole lobby is just a fucking music festival of random bullshit music going on, and you're just like, yes, my people.
Yeah. Well, that's what it would become. I mean, it'd be like, I could only see them being like, God, this sucks. I'm gonna mute everyone.
Yeah, and then it's just like this giant. There's like one server in the room at 343 that's just labeled the music players, and it's just silent lobbies, but they're all blasting music to each other. They just can't hear it.
Yeah, but it does kill it for people that actually want to use the game appropriately. So I'm happy for that. If they could do that, that would be awesome. I don't see it forever happening, because you're right, it's a sticky slope. Yeah. But yeah.
Bungie did it for Halo Reach. Seemed to work pretty good. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously not, because they didn't continue it. 343 didn't take that, and they don't do that in Destiny. Do they?
Right. They don't. No.
Yeah, I mean, Destiny's a little bit different. It's hard to say because it's not just match play. You're not just getting into lobbies with.
Destiny is the least party chat game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Good Lord, no one goes on game chat in that game, ever. That or
even in the Crucible, like
I've never played Crucible.
Yeah, never in the Crucible.
No, maybe I have some setting on that could be a possibility, because I know there's like team chat, fire team chat, and like there's all these. I don't know what the defaults are and how the game actually manages it. So maybe they are. I just never hear it. But I also play with people all the time, so I have parties and I just have.
And that's what it's become, And this all started from clans, right? I mean, this was, and that's another thing that I think existed in previous Halos, where I remember people used to be in clans because their usernames would all be the same.
Yeah, I mean, there was external clans in Halo all the time, and then in Halo 5 they had Spartan companies, which are actually like a 343 backed idea, but it didn't go into the game. Like you had to set it up externally, which I mean that's how Bungie's clans work as well. Like you have to do it on the Bungie website. And I mean, there was no Bungie has incentives for clans, so there's that. But there was like, why would I do this in Halo 5?
Well, I mean, where it would be nice and where they could support clans are that you're more likely to play with your clan members.
Yeah.
Which sounds so bad. It sounds racist.
Yeah. With your clan with a C.
Your
Clan
clan
with a
members.
C members, okay? Not any
I didn't
other
even think
letter.
about
No
that.
more
I'm like,
consonant.
geez
Just
Louise.
clan with a C.
All right, fine. Halo's racist. Stupid racist game.
There wasn't a lot of racism in this multiplayer beta.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but I mean, it is nice, and I think that's that's obviously why people played in World of Warcraft, which is very clan based.
Yeah.
And it's just so that when your other people that you claned up with are going to be on and playing, so that you can play with them, or it alerts you, or even if they could do it through the phone app where it alerts people and they could build a clan there, and when people are playing, it's more likely to put you together with your clan.
Xbox has
People
that
on your
system.
team. Do they?
But yeah, they have a whole entire clan system.
I haven't even gotten
It's called
into that.
groups or something.
Oh, groups.
It's really cool, and it'll if you press
Oh,
the
really?
guide button,
Then
it'll be like people are playing in this game. It's neat. I don't use it.
And then it also finds people in game. Does it more likely
it's
team you up?
Not in game, because that would require the developer to put work in to do that.
But that's the benefit. That would be nice if
I'm in the game though. I can then it tells people that I am in that game, and then people can go to the group thing and be like, "Who's playing this game?" And then you can tell yourself "Hey, it's pretty much just an LFG system built in." But
what's and I know we're out of time, but what's annoying is when you're playing with a 3 and a 4, right? And then you just keep getting a random player and they suck, and you don't really want to talk to them because you don't know who they are. Blah 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 blah. But this could be alleviated by clans, because if you would know the person, you clanned up, or at least you'd have more of a reason to get to know them because they're part of your clan. They're part of a smaller group.
Yeah.
It'd be just so cool if one of your friends was, and then even if it was people that you were friends with, I would do that. They were playing the same game, and then it would push them into your group. If you had somebody left, or I think that'd be nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your friends
Actually,
list.
before we go though, one of my favorite things, speaking of diversity, is in Halo, they're new. In Halo 5, they had the same Spartan voices for everybody, so it's just the same default military dude voice that we've heard a billion times before. You can change your voice, and they have a lot of different voices in the game, and there's one who's just this southern dude, and it is the funniest thing to hear a southern Spartan just be like, taking damage, rockets on, and it's
That's
awesome.
funny.
I love it.
Yeah, hopefully they'll do cameo voice. That would be awesome.
I really want celebrity AIs. Everybody wants
Yeah.
them.
Well, I think wasn't Snoop on Waze or something?
I think so.
think
I'd love a Snoop.
Yeah.
I would love a Snoop.
Yeah,
Dogg
Snoop would be
AI.
awesome.
He's just
Yeah,
high
that'd
the
be-
whole time.
Well,
We
he
just
has
have a
this.
high AI.
He has the stupid X. I want to go to his house and steal that Xbox refrigerator. He's one of the few people that has it.
Oh, he did. Son of a bitch.
He got it. Yeah, they gave him the Xbox refrigerator, the full one, not the mini.
Okay, he's got to make an AI then. He has a fridge.
Yeah, they gave him a freaking fridge.
All right.
He owes them. He owes Microsoft.
Yeah. All righty.
All right, well, that calls it for today. Thank you for showing up. We will try to continue to be Monday fun days from here on out.